There's the one where it comes up from a baby. It's replication cloning, but this is duplication cloning. They grow a fully formed duplicate of you, and they grow them like 5 at a time because sometimes they come out grown twisted. They have malformed hand or something. So they scrap them, throw them in the chipper, and go with the other 4 for backup bodies. But the way that they do it, they can only put you into one of these kind of clones. It's called a Mark II REM-driven clone. They can only put you into one of these clones when you're fully into REM sleep, which happens like after about an hour and a half after you fall asleep, you go into REM sleep. They just have a machine next to your clone that's on a rack, and it's laying there like a dead body, breathing real shallow and stuff, and it's got a feeding tube down the throat, and when a light comes on a machine next to your clone, somebody presses a button on a remote, it says this light says that you're in REM sleep, full of REM sleep, and they can activate you then. If they activate you before that, you'll be all disoriented and you go psycho and stuff. But yeah, so when you're in REM sleep, they can just bring you there. I tried to do the alarm clock thing, but when you wake up and you go back to sleep again, you just go right back into REM real fast. That's how it works. It's rapid eye movement, stage of sleep. That's how they do it. They call it a consciousness transfer. They transfer your consciousness into a clone, and they basically just give up their ability to have dreams and nightmares, and they just go there and walk around, talk, doing stupid stuff. Like they started doing it around 1944 or 45, and it was all politicians. But then they got bored of that. Like they were thinking they would keep the whole world in line and everything, and under the threat of clone torture, because they can kill you remotely from the cloning center. They'll give you an aneurysm. If they apply a constant state of pain to your clone, you'll die in real life. Either that night or the next day, you'll have a brain bleed, aneurysm, stroke thing. I thought that I would have been dead last year by now. Turns out they actually want me to talk about them. Okay. They made me think that they didn't want me to talk about them, but they actually do. They want cloning and the lizards and the hosts shut down. The only thing is they didn't want me to tell about these head chips that they got, and this other thing about gold that is absolutely ludicrous sounding, but I gotta say it anyway because, you know, it's just different technologies that they have that you wouldn't think that they would have yet.
Sure. Okay. Donald, you said that basically you've been memory repressed since you were 5, and you said that when you got to about the age of 30, they actually reversed the memory repression, yeah? And then you went through this process which is called the awakening. Do you want to tell us what that is exactly?
Sure. Well, they test you when you're there. They say, if we let you in on this, are you going to tell on us? And they give you a truth serum, sodium pentothal. They can scan your head to see if you, kind of like a lie detector type of thing, scan your head, see if you're deceptive or whatever. The way that I got to be unrepressed was, like, I had to let them know that I was their ally, friend, or they were just going to leave me memory repressed about it, and I'd never be able to seek help. I was just going to go to the police. Little did I know the police are involved.
Exactly, yeah,
and,
exactly.
The Russians, this was actually on the internet. I was overjoyed when I first started mailing around because I'd never gone on conspiracy pages and stuff or looked up stuff. And I go on to the internet to tell people about it, and they're already talking about a little bit of it. So I was like, yes, this isn't going to be as hard as I thought. So anyway, Mark I clone, they call it, I don't know why, they call it an organic robotoid. Even though there's no robotic parts in it, it's all organic. They call it a robotic or organic robotoid, but they don't use them anymore because they're so primitive.
Okay.
They got more side effects. You're more confused when you're a Mark I, and they're REM driven as well. They're primitive though. They come up to like messed up looking sometimes, so they don't use them anymore. They just use the Mark IIs. Mark III is a run around all the time clone, like no REM needed.
You think that it's your real body. I thought it was my real body. I thought they were going to kill me. And they do that to a lot of people. Give them fear of death. I wake up and I'm standing in the dirt of this arena.
Some people are drugged, so they think that it's a dream, or they're in the astral realm, the spirit realm. Depends on who you are, where you're from. That's what they tell you. And you don't wake up, so it's not a dream. This is how the Illuminati NWO works. They meet at the cloning station when they go to sleep.
There's a video audio thing called Mind Voice. Some people call it artificial telepathy. People think they have to put suction cups all over the head. No. When you're a clone there, they can just put a chip right in your clone's head and read it like that. Most people formulate things in their own voice in their head. Once you train with this, you can sit in front of a speaker that's dedicated to your own mind voice, all right? Now you can think in your own head a sound, anything. Listen. Think in your own head. There was no sound. Nobody heard anything, but you put that in your own head. You can make that sound come out of the friggin' speaker. And then you can twist it and augment it, change it, add to it. Then you can add a drum line in the background. You can do this with the aid of this chip in your head as a clone. And then there's visuals. The visual thing is harder to explain, but the audio thing is just that. You can sit in front of a speaker and play your own thoughts to yourself.
They all use me as like the catalyst for like this, they call it the show. They said that I'm like the entertainer there, and it's the most amazing thing how I made a song out of thin air out of nothing. At first, the songs came pretty easy, but then they started to trickle down, so they started to threaten me. So I made more songs, and then they started to torture me, torture clones of me. And they just kept on doing that for years and years and years. After I'd made like the first 20, then they all started coming. Like there's numerous cloning stations, and certain people go to certain ones.
Did you ever hear of Phil Schneider? He tried to do what I'm doing, but he didn't know the entirety. Anderson Cooper is that cloning, yes. Listen, Elijah Wood didn't mind being used when he was a kid for benefit.
Money, right? Fame.
That's what most of them do.
Yeah.
If they ever try to talk...
Which he's doing now. I mean, don't you think he
took it back. He took it back and said that he didn't even mean it. He said he was elaborating on someone else's article, and they took it out of context. But that was just a lie because they bounced time. And they said, take it back or we're going to kill you. That's what they do. That's why no one can talk, because they bounce time. They have time-bounce tech, like the Groundhog Day effect with Bill Murray. They can do it a day or a week whenever they made the past slam. And Elijah Wood knows all about me. All about cloning. I met him and talked to him there. Same with Pink the singer. I'm just using her as an example. If she comes out tomorrow on national, international live television and says, there's a cloning center and they're killing people, they use us as slaves and we can't say anything. Do you know what they do? We will again go back to 3 days ago to the last proton slam of CERN Hadron Collider. I don't know how the science works. I'm not a physicist. They will go back to 3 days ago, and guess what happens to Pink? Pink gets shot. Pink gets shot 3 days ago. I'm kind of frantic because look at the lengths that I have to go. Not an insult, but it should be CNN.